Speaking of Caicedo, we're going to move on to. I want to move on to a little bit of Chelsea now. This year, and I want to read this out to you. Brighton are demanding a staggering 100 million for Moises Caicedo. This comes as Chelsea advance talks with both the player and the club. The 19-year-old midfielder has already made a significant impact on the field, and teams like Chelsea are eager to secure his talents for their own. But 100 million pounds is now what Tony Bloom is saying is a minimum. But he values him as high as 120 million. But 100 million minimum for Moises Caicedo. That's why Liverpool was seemingly pulled out of this deal. There's reports Arsenal were pulled out. But what's your thoughts on it, mate?
Tony Bloom is just taking the piss, I'm going to be honest with you. 100 million is just too much. Just Caicedo is an unbelievable player. And I've been on this show and on my channel and multiple different times, and I've said I would have preferred Caicedo over McAllister. It's not like some sort of hidden fact. Caicedo is the much better player. However, 100 million is too much. That's too much money. Like 100 million, I'm sorry, with all due respect to Caicedo, I'm talking about the likes of Nicolo Barella, I'm talking about the likes of Chouameni, I'm talking about the likes of Camavinga, I'm talking about the likes of, Pedri, I'm talking about the best of the best on earth. A midfielder that's going to come and just almost single-handedly transform your entire midfield. I look at Caicedo, and with Caicedo, I think he's an unbelievable player. He can actually play an inverted right back as well. He's good in the 6, he's good in the 8. So for me, okay, he's versatile, he has Premier League, he's Premier League proven, all of that. But I'm going to be honest with you, 100 million is too much money. It's just too much money. And I think from Chelsea's perspective, I'm going to be honest with you. Look, here's the thing. This whole Chelsea situation. We've already said Chelsea, before even buying one, they need to sell 10. I look at Chelsea and be honest with you. First of all, if Caicedo goes there, he's dumb, with all due respect. Going to Man United is a lot better currently. Going to Arsenal is a lot better currently. Going to both clubs is a lot better currently. And I'm saying this as someone who absolutely hates and despises Man United. Going to Man United, there's a clear project there with a clear manager, with a clear destination. And if they do bring in Qatar or even Jim Ratcliffe, the future would be brighter than the future under the Glazers. You look at Caicedo currently, he's going to move to Chelsea. I mean, the idea of a double pivot of Enzo and Caicedo is an unbelievable idea. And I think that idea would absolutely bang. But you look at that rest of the Chelsea team, and it's just it's so meaty, man. It's just so meaty. I'm going to be honest. There's just nothing exciting there. We've got Mudryk playing for the Ukraine under-21s. You've got their best player is an injury-prone right back. Their best centre-back is going to leave because he's too old. Koulibaly, they're unsure on. They've got a goalkeeper situation too. They've got no forward who can score a goal. So it's just Chelsea are a mess currently. And I stick by what I said. 100%. Chelsea, before buying a single player, need to sell 15. They just need to. Now Chelsea's priority should be sell. And I don't know if you heard about this, but apparently if they don't get 70 million by June 30th or something, there might be breaking FFP rules or something like that. So they've got to sell players. They've actually got to sell players in these next 14 days.
And that's why I've said to you, again, 10 days ago, they're on the edge of Ugarte. They were going to go straight in for Caicedo. There was talk of Mount, Aubameyang, Havertz, Kante. I'm just naming a few here. Loftus-Cheek was very close, according to the media, of course, to go in Milan. You fast forward 10 days, no one's left. No one's in.
Exactly.
And you're getting nearer to the start of pre-season. And I just don't think they're deeping this enough, Chelsea fans, that you can't take these 10 to 15 players that are leaving to pre-season with you. Equally, you can't add players to your squad without knowing they're going. So this whole telling Arsenal no with, turning Man United 50 million down today, maybe, turning down 50 million for Kai Havertz, it's ridiculous. You're going to have to suffer some hits because of the mistakes that you've made.
Did you see today? Just today, Bakayoko left. Bakayoko.
Just today.
Just today he left.
That's because his contract's over, I'm sure. It isn't because he's been sold.
And Bakayoko, are you mad?
Do you know what's funny? Legacy issues. When I worked in banking, I got involved. I joined banking 06, 07. So I was only in the banking 18 months a year before the biggest financial crisis ever hit the banks. And honestly, it swept me off my feet because I was a novice. I didn't really understand what the hell was going on. I hadn't had years of experience and understanding of the financial world. And for the next 10 years, legacy issues held us back because what the bank did, and all banks did this, they buried stuff. They buried it until the authorities came in, investigated, did reviews, and you found this like an absolute pile of nonsense that was going to cost billions of pounds more to fix. And what they really should have done is been very open, very honest, held their hands up, took the losses early on, and moved on. But they ended up costing themselves double, 3 times, 4 times the money because they buried the problems. You don't want to create legacy issues. You make a mistake, you take your medicine, you nip it in the bud, and you move on quickly. If Chelsea allowed last season's mistakes to weave its way into this campaign, they're always going to be playing catch up. And that isn't just because I want Mount cheaper, because I'm not that keen on Mount. I'm talking, generally speaking, you need to ensure you've got some of these players out the door over the next 3 weeks. Look, Caicedo, I personally think he is worth 100 million in 2023. If that's what Declan Rice is going for, I think Caicedo is worth.
So how much is a Barella worth then? If Caicedo's 100,
I look at it this way. But listen, if somebody was going to pay 80, 90, 100 million for Barella, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. You got to remember, Paul Pogba was 85 million pounds 7-8 years ago.
True.
So are these players better than Paul Pogba was? I don't think they're I don't think any of them, by the way, are better technically on the ball than Paul Pogba.
At the time, no. At the time, people looked at Paul Pogba as one of the best midfielders on earth, 100%.
Exactly. So if one of the best midfielders on earth was 85, 90 million in 2016, what are some of the best talented young midfielders worth in 2023 where the money's higher, TV money's higher, sponsorship deals are higher, social media has taken over, so the commercial impact of these players is bigger. Listen, I don't think Caicedo is bad at 100 million.
I think Caicedo's an all-rounder. I think he does a lot of things really well. And it's not like he's an all-rounder, but he does stuff like at a 5. No, I'm saying he's an all-rounder and he does stuff at a 7, 8, 9. Like you look at the tackling, for example, the best tackler in the Premier League statistically last season was Declan Rice, and second place was Caicedo, even though he doesn't play a lone 6, which shows you, okay, he's unbelievable defensively. But at the same time, it's essentially 100 million for a defensive player in a double pivot. And do Chelsea currently need that?
I understand that. They've gone and got Enzo. Enzo's also a base mark. I know they overpaid so they could pay it over time, but he was a lot of money. And listen, if Man United today put £100 million bid in for Caicedo, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. I'd be happy. It's all about whether or not they deliver. So
fair enough.
Look at Enzo Fernandez. I don't think Enzo Fernandez was poor when he joined Chelsea. I thought he played quite well. The issue was he was doing okay in a role that it's one of those difficult roles when you play as a 6 in a team. If you're winning the ball and passing the ball into good areas, but your team does nothing with it, nobody remembers what you did because it's so far back.
I think Enzo played well for Chelsea, by the way. I agree with you.
I agree. 100%. And I think
that
the only way a player, listen, if you spend 100 million on Caicedo and he ends up having a Basuma season, then you're going to get stick for it.
God.
And there's always that worry. There's always that concern. But I think...
Do Chelsea need Caicedo? Do they need him? I don't think they need him. I'm going to be honest with you.
I think they do. Why do you think they don't need him?
I tell you why I don't think they don't need him. Because Chelsea, before even looking at a midfielder right now, I have never seen a club desperately need forwards more than Chelsea Football Club in my whole life. They've had this problem with under Tuchel where they're like, you've had it on the terrace. People coming on here going like, oh, look, Terry, we created 700 chances, but we didn't score any single goal. Chelsea need to score goals. Chelsea need wingers. Chelsea needs striker. That's what Chelsea needs. If I'm in Chelsea's position, before I even look in the midfield's way, I'm getting a striker and I'm getting a winger. That's that before I even call and ask about Caicedo. And also like you look at Caicedo 100 million. Are Chelsea trying to go down that road again with Modric, with Enzo?
I totally understand. I think they do need to build the midfield out, Chelsea, because if they get rid of everybody, they're going to be left with a very flimsy, loose, weak, light midfield. They definitely need to add. The pressure just comes down to the fact that they spent 600 to 700 million last season and finished 12th, 13th, 14th, whatever it was. I actually forget now. And there's that worry again. But as I say, if Man United, if it got announced tonight for Fabrizio Romano, here we go. Man United bid 100 million. Tony Bloom said yes. Caicedo wants to go to Old Trafford. I am buzzing because I do believe that Caicedo for the next 7 to 10 years is going to be one of the leading midfielders in Europe. I think he's that good.
He
I,
suits Man United more, by the way.
he would be
And you guys need
him,
him more too.
him next to Casemiro with
With Bruno at the 10.
Bruno and Mount like ahead of him.
Oh,
It's no, but
you ruined it.
yeah. But for me, then you're talking about title, Champions League potential midfield, having a midfield that can potentially win those competitions with a midfield like that. Because you've got creativity, you've got the nous to break up play, you've got Caicedo that can break up play, can progress the ball forward, is capable in an attacking role. He isn't a KDB or a Bruno or an Odegaard, but he's capable in those areas. You've also got somebody that can cover. You could have games, and I'm making a name up here, when you're playing Crystal Palace at home, where you can start Caicedo at right. You can give Eriksen a game. You can rest the right back, give Eriksen a game, play Caicedo as an inverted fullback. There's so many options with him. His ability is there. So look, I'm not worried about I think 120, by the way, that's too much. That extra 20 million. But 100 million would be my upper limit for a player like Caicedo. Because what is he, 20? I'm going to guess 22. Is he 22?
Yeah, he's young. I think he's 23, 24, if I'm not mistaken. Could be
21.
younger.
He's 21. 21 years of
21.
age, 100 million pounds. Listen, he could be a 10-year player for you. It's 21 million pounds a season. You'd pay to have a player like him. You pay 21 million pounds a year for a player like that. He's an absolute superstar.
He's born in 2001. Damn. I'm 6 years older than Caicedo. That's wild.
I'm old. Do you know what? I'm pretty much older than every current active football player. So, yeah, I wouldn't even worry about that. Yeah, I'm pretty much older than every single one who's coming through.